name is Tina Hogan. I am Payton Hogan's mother.
One of the things that you mentioned is you grew up in chaos.
Yeah.
What did chaos look like for you growing up?
I don't know if it, I don't know how I put that. I'm sorry. My father was not a good person. He used to rub me on my head, tell me, I'm gonna take you away, and I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna bring you back, and you better not tell anybody. Because I brought your dad to one of the therapy sessions. He was like, I will never tell anybody to leave that way, their husbands or anything. But he was like, I'm gonna tell you this. He will never change. I didn't know your dad when I got pregnant with you. I didn't know him. I just got pregnant. But he was not a good husband and should not have been married.
What's one of your biggest regrets with me when it came to raising me? Because I was a headache and a half for you. What would you say one of your biggest regrets with me is? Before we dive into the story from today's guest, I just want y'all to know that I'm so appreciative of everybody, each and every one of you who has been tuning in, that's been supporting, that's been liking, that's been just interacting and helping this podcast to grow. A couple of things that I want you to know, everything that you see here is done by one person. It's a solo mission. It's a lot, but I'm passionate about this. I love creating. I love bringing content that you all enjoy, but it can be taxing. And so what I'm asking for you now is that in order to support me along this process of continuing to be able to bring quality content, quality stories, and ones that resonate with you, is that you just hit that subscribe button for me. It's the free thing that you can do to support me and this channel. I'm not asking for no money, I'm not doing no fundraiser, not doing any of that. Just please hit the subscribe button. Please make sure that you like this video, leave a comment, and that will make all the difference for me. And I'll be able to continue to produce this content that y'all enjoy to see. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
My name is Tina Hogan. I am Payton Hogan's mother. I am a mother of 2 biological kids, and then I have my niece that I raised. And so I have 3 kids. I have 6 grandkids. And then a new addition, my other niece had a kid, which, so I'm going to say there are 7 of them. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for about 30 years. I haven't always acted in the role as a legal counsel, but I have practiced as an attorney, probably as a legal counsel in-house. Probably, I want to say 25 years. Maybe 20. Prior to that, as a lawyer, I've worked in accounting, I've worked in finance. I was a compliance auditor. I worked in government contracts for primarily one company. Most of that was at First Data. And then I went to Wells Fargo, and now I'm at a different company. And then what else? I think that's my role.
Now you work for a big time tech startup. We won't name no names. We treat them like Voldemort. Won't say who they is, but working for a big time startup, doing your thing over there. Yeah, that's my mama. That's my mama. My mama's great. Mama's great. She's been doing a lot. Been doing a lot of things. We was talking off camera, talking about how you used to answer the phone back when you worked at First Data.
I did.
This is Tina. Legal compliance, this is Tina.
She answered the phone every time. I just remember that. I remember that being young. And I also remember the stories you used to tell me about. You had me while you were in the middle of law school. And then
I did.
When you were, when I was just a little tiny baby, can't even take care of myself. I can't even do anything. You were having to hold me, study, do all of these different things. And
I did. I had you toward the end of one of my semesters. I think it was the second semester. And I had you, and it was the end of the semester, and I had to go take finals. So I had you, and then I had a dean at the time that would not allow me to not take my finals. And so I had you, and then 3 days later, I had to go to Lincoln and take finals as soon as I got out of the hospital, because she said you could either take them now or you could take them at the end of the next year. and I didn't want to take them at the end of the next year, so I took them then.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. I think I was grateful for one of my college professors because when I was pregnant, during my first trimester, I fell asleep in that class all the time. And she did not call on me at all during my first trimester. It was the constitutional law class. She did not bother me. She did not call on me. But then I took her the next semester during my second and third trimester, and she called on me.
She was on your ass. She was on your ass
every other day, but it was okay because I wasn't sleepy then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man, you did that, and I think one of the pieces that we really need to acknowledge is you were a first generation master's level graduate, but then even a first generation bachelor's level graduate, and then even a first generation high school graduate as well too. So like you really.
My mom did.
She did.
Both of them graduated from high school. My mom and my dad. Mama graduated from high school, and my dad graduated from high school. So I wasn't a first generation high school graduate.
First generation college graduate.
I was a first generation on my mom's side. First generation college graduate, and master's level. I do have now nieces and nieces that are college graduates. So they're not first generation, but I am.
Facts. I think that's something that, even though as I was growing up, like I was a little defiant and I didn't really want to do much of what I was supposed to do. I think it was something that always still, I saw where the bar was, you know what I mean? So even me getting my master's, it was just kind of like, this is easy, this is cake, because I saw it and I heard about you doing it. And so it was never really a question of whether or not I could. But I wonder for you, like, growing up and not having like that necessarily like the example or the standard set of like, this is the potential that you can hit. How were you able to do that? And before you like answer that, I want you to answer it kind of in a roundabout way, by answering this question first. Take us back to childhood, and just like what was that like? How did you become the person that you are today? It's a big, broad question.
That is a very broad question, and I don't know if I like have like the exact answer. I think because I was born after my mom lost a child, because I have a brother that was a year old and he died from pneumonia. And I found out later in life that he died in my mom's arms while they were driving to the hospital. And so I think when she had me, she was more like more protective and just like had me all the time and made sure that I was around her all the time. And so I think even though I like grew up in like chaos a little bit, not a little bit, I grew up in chaos. My mom always made sure that I knew my mom always loved me. There was never a doubt. My mom would, even today, if she had to sell her body, she would sell her body to make sure I ate. And she's 78 years old. So I never not knew that my mom loved me. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is part of it. Like why I didn't go out a lot, because whenever I would go to my cousin's house. If I was there for more than a day, my mom would be like, you need to come home. And so like my brother, she would let them go and stay. Cannon, she would let him go. But if I went, she would be like, you need to come. And it wasn't that she didn't love him. She was just, I think I was just more of her protection mode when she had me. She was in, I need to make sure I save my baby.
Kind of like a trauma response from losing the first kid. And I mean, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. That's my Uncle Clayton, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't named after him, part of it, was I?
No.
Yeah.
Your dad, someone.
Walter Payton, right?
I don't know where he got that from. I can't remember, to be honest.
That's what I tell people. I don't know.
I don't think it was that. If we had a boy, he got to name it. If it was a girl, I got to name it.
Facts. One of the things that you mentioned is you grew up in chaos.
Yeah.
What did chaos look like for you growing up?
I I'll give you an example. I went to 18 different schools. Sometimes I went to like 3 schools in 1 year. And so my mom was like constantly moved. Like she would move in March and I would be out of school. Or she would move, like we would just put our bags in big garbage bags and take the Greyhound to Minneapolis and we would just move because she would just move. My mom she didn't want to stay in a place. And so I was always moving. And then we grew up around kind of chaotic, like not kind of, chaotic men, and that weren't necessarily good or safe for us. And I understand it as an adult, like why my mom did that. She didn't do it like to hurt us, but that's all she knew. Because as an adult, I learned like her story a little bit more. And so, like my father was not a good person, and no matter what, he was always in our life unless he was in jail. And then my brother and sister, Shauna Chanel's dad, was not a good person and told me he was gonna kill me. And no, he didn't tell me he was gonna kill me. He used to like rub me on my head and tell me, he was like, I'm gonna take you away and I'm gonna beat you and I'm gonna bring you back and you better not tell anybody. And he would just rub me on my head and say that. While my mom was sitting over there on the other side, he would just be whispering into my ear. He would tell me, I'm gonna take you away and I'll beat you and I'm gonna take you back. I'm gonna bring you back and you better not tell anybody.
How old were you at that time?
10. That's when I jumped out of my window and ran over. We were in the projects Pleasant View on 30th. And I ran over because we had my cousin Chantella and her grandmother and her cousins all lived like across the little, I don't know what they call it. They were just in the apartment, the building across from us. And I ran over there and I told them, I jumped out of the window. Let me go back. The reason why I jumped out of the window is because they were downstairs and it was dark. My mom and Jerry, and it was downstairs and it was dark. And then I was asleep and I woke up and I saw that he was trying to climb on me. And I screamed. And so mama came up, but I was afraid because I remember him saying, I'm going to take you away and I'm going to beat you and I'm going to bring you back and you better not tell anyone. And I said, nothing's wrong. And then they went downstairs and it was quiet and mama wasn't responding. And then I went to the stairs and I said, Mama, and she didn't respond. And then Bill told me, come here. And I said, okay,
Bill
just
is
a
their
minute.
dad.
Bill is Shauna Chanel's dad. And I said, okay, just a minute. And I went in my room and I opened the window and I jumped out of the apartment window. We were on the second level. I jumped out and I ran over my cousin's house.
What happened after that? Like
I told them what happened, and then my cousin Chantella's grandmother was really close to my grandpa's and Big Darlene, and so she called them, and they called Grandpa, and they all came over, and they called the police, and he ran off, and then they found him and they arrested him, and then we left, and we went to my grandmother's house, and he went to our church, which was down the street, and stole the cross out of the church and was walking down the street saying he was going to crucify me and my mom. And then we moved to Minneapolis. And then that's what happened then.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that mental health was something that was at play on many levels throughout your life. I'm going to say this first and then later to find out, and I think we talked about it, wasn't he like diagnosed like schizophrenic or something like that?
Yeah, he ended up, because I got a letter because I'm the guardian for my sister because she has mental health, his daughter. And I got a letter that he died in an institution in California. And he was institutionalized after that. He's been in because he had schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. And so, but yeah.
I think that's something that's not talked about enough, just the many struggles of mental health and what they look like and the impacts that they have on families, not only today, but especially in your generation, because that's something that really wasn't talked about. It really wasn't acknowledged, and families, matter of fact, just turned a blind eye to it a lot of times. Fortunately, in the situation that you went in with just this particular situation, which I know there are plenty of other situations, and we'll probably talk about some of them. They just kind of didn't acknowledge it. And I'm curious for you, how did a situation like this impact you mentally, or like what type of state did it put it in for you, or was it just another day and it was normal and you just kept going after that?
I want to say, honestly, I think it was probably because of, and I now as an adult, I know it's trauma response. It was normal, and I kind of just block it out. And I think I do that with a lot of things in life. I kind of acknowledge it, and I don't know, because I used to say, God gave me this thing, and I think I credit it to that. Where my memory, I remember some stuff, but I don't remember a lot of the pain from stuff. And so I just block it out. And it's probably still all in there. I just put it into like a compartment, and I was like, it happened. And that's it.
Yeah, that's deep. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do that. It is called dissociating.
Yes.
You dissociate from the reality because it's, and we don't realize it in the moment, but it's so emotionally overwhelming that our body just kind of,
It shuts it down.
it shuts it down. And so, yes, I'm experiencing it, but consciously I'm not experiencing it because I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. Survival. It's survival. It's survival. And it shows, I believe, at least I've noticed in my life, like it shows up in different situations. And when it does show up, unless you're able to connect the dots, you don't even realize that the response that you're having in that moment had anything to do with the situation that might happen months, years, ages ago. I want to know more about this chaos. So you got schizophrenic, I don't even want to call him stepdad because he wasn't really stepdad, but you got schizophrenic Bill in there. You got your dad. You got your dad.
I do have him.
Jerry Holly. That song, Father Abraham had many sons, and many sons had. You could switch out Father Abraham and put Father Jerry Holly had many sons. He got how many kids? How many siblings you got?
I have a total of 18. Not all of them are his, but I have a total of 18 siblings. He had sons, mostly daughters, which is funny. And the thing is, from the age of Mama, and I remember this a little bit, but it's, again, not a good memory. And I know the story now because I don't know if Mama told me or someone else told me. The last time, like, I saw him, like, from the age of 5 to 16, I didn't really see Jerry Alley. I saw him, like, maybe on the street every now and then. And once I passed out at a concert, I don't remember how old. I had to be 10. I went to a concert with my cousin, and I don't like the smells of things because they give me headaches. As a kid, I used to get headaches.
If you don't just talk about it. Huh? I don't like the smells of things. They were smoking.
They were smoking, but it's even perfume.
I don't like the smells of things.
It's even perfumes or any of that. They give me headaches. I used to have migraines as a kid all the time. And I went to a concert and passed out. And my cousins, because I went with my cousins, took me to Jerry Holly. And I sat with him during the concert. But for the most part, from the age of 5 until about 16, I really didn't see him, except for, again, randomly on the street. Because he wasn't a part of our life. But then around 15, 16, Mama got back with him. And then that was chaos. And then he went to jail. And when he went to jail, she would not be with him. And then she would be able to get away from him. And then she would get back with him. I think I was an adult the last time she got back with him. But yeah, it was kind of, he's a chaotic person.
Why was it chaos at 16 when he moved back in with you guys?
He took my money, and let me rephrase this, because he couldn't have done it by himself. I bought, like, myself these $500 cars for my uncle, and Mama would give Jerry the keys, and he took them. And so he would take my cars and get them impounded, and I would not have cars. Someone he was messing around, my car was parked at Creighton, and they busted the window out because they were mad at him because he would have my cars all the time. So, but again, as an adult, I know it's not all him because my mama obviously gave him the keys to my car. He would take, I gave mama my debit card, and I would work every summer and during breaks, and he took all my money out of my account. So, and then I would come home from college and breaks and walk by, and he would be in the kitchen making crack in a spoon while me and my sister and brother were sitting in the living room. So I that's a vivid memory. One time he was mad because my sister, who lived across the way, and we lived in Tommy Rose, told my mom that he was messing with someone, and he went and busted her door in and was threatening to hurt her because she did that. And then he told me that he wouldn't, like, he drove me to college, and told me he would never do that again because he was mad at us because we told my mom. So it's just chaos. Mm-hmm. It was just a little bit of chaos.
I've heard a lot of these stories before, and even though they're not the best stories of him, one thing that I've never heard you say is like, I hate him, or I've never heard you say that.
Because I don't. I mean, I don't hate him. I don't hate him. And even now, if he needs something, I will provide it. We don't have mama said, either mama or someone, he notices, I don't call him dad, but I was raised, I think that would be disrespectful to call him Jerry in front of him, but I just don't say his name. But I don't hate him. If he needs something, I will help him. When they go do celebrations, I am there. If he needed a ticket to go, I think he needed a ticket to come back from California to here, I contribute. So I don't genuinely hate him. I don't have I'm not angry. I learned, it helped me be who I am, and it taught me a lot of lessons. So,
was there ever a point in time where you were really angry at him?
No.
No? Really?
I mean, when he took my car, that upset me. But I don't think I think it's that, put it in a compartment. I would be angry in that moment. With anybody, I'm like that, though. No. I would be angry in that moment, but I can't stay angry because, one, it makes me sick, physically sick, if I'm stay angry with people. But I will move on.
Most definitely. I want to pivot a little bit. You talked about moving a lot and just bouncing from place to place. And it makes me think about relationships, forming relationships, having bonds with people. How was that for you if you are at a school at one point and then, like you said, you transfer out in March and you pack up and move to Minneapolis, and then next thing you know, you back here? How was it for you growing up and actually forming deep relationships with people?
I don't remember most people. I saw someone in the store, this guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we went to 5th grade." And I didn't remember him, but I don't remember most people at all and then I didn't form relationships with most people. Auntie Vet was the first person that I formed a relationship with, and we remained friends. But most people I didn't, because I would get into a school, and then it would take me, because I'm a quieter person, it would take me a semester to even open up or talk to people. And then by that time we were probably getting ready to move. And so I don't have very many friends that I could say, "Oh, we grew up and we went to this and we did this." I don't know. I don't have that.
Was that ever did it ever bother you that sorry, y'all, just drank this coffee and it's sorry. No, yeah. Did it ever bother you that you didn't have those close relationships, and was it hard for you to not be able to have your people, or did you still have your people?
As a kid, I had my aunt, because my mom has a sister that's 3 years older than me. So as a kid and a teenager, I always had her. And I had cousins because as a kid, like one thing I can say, grandpa on my mom's side, like his siblings would all hang around each other. So they would have barbecues and I would play with my cousins, like my cousin Dimples. And I were really, 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 really close until like we were about 14. And then we just took different paths in life. And I was always a scaredy cat. So I was never going to do anything because I wasn't going to jail. I didn't do drink. I wasn't doing drugs because I wasn't going to jail. I equated everything to jail. And so we had different lives. And that was okay. But we just had different paths. So we didn't like hang out after a certain point in time because of that. But I always had like those people. I don't know if I don't know if I think it was bad because it made me very independent. And so I was able to do things. And even now, I don't need other people to do things. I will go, if I want to go on a trip, I will go by myself. Y'all won't let me anymore, but I will go by myself. And I'm okay with that because it just made me more independent. So that's what I think. It made me not afraid to do things by myself and enjoy my own company because I'm the oldest of my mom's kids. My brother is 4.5, almost sometimes 5 years younger than me, but I grew up more as his second mom. And then Shauna Chanel are 11, almost 12 years younger than me. And so I didn't like have like siblings that I could like play with. I was more of the second mother. And so it was just me learning to be independent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think at times, and I'm gonna use this term, hyper independence, do you think at times your hyper independence works against you and maybe pushes you in a position of either isolation or, like you said, that hyper independence turning into the caretaker role places you in positions where you will overextend for other people's burdens?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
How does that affect you?
I don't know if how does it, I'm responsible for a lot of stuff. And it's more of, I don't know. I don't know how I put that. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you put that. I think it makes me feel like I'm responsible. I'm not. But I take on other people's stuff. And it's just an automatic thing. It's not even a thought to it. It's just automatic. If something's happening, I got to go fix it. But I know that's because of how I grew up. And I know that, like, as an adult and going through therapy, I understand that it's more of a trauma response. It's more of, let me just make myself useful and let me do this stuff because I have to take care of everything. Mm. And I know, like, I grew up, my mom, she took care of us, but I was the other parent. Like, my mom would be like, I remember my brother, she told me, like, when we moved into, I don't know. We moved into this one place, and she said, go ask those kids where they catch the bus to school. And then she told me to get on the bus and then go to the office and just tell them you're new and to send the paperwork home. And that's what I did. Mm. So, and then she would also send me, when I became in high school, to my brother's schools to go talk to their teachers. I remember going to Macmillan, or not Macmillan, I can't remember what school it was. One of my siblings' school, and talking to them because they had gotten in trouble. And I remember once even going to the doctor's office for my brother because I remember he had high blood pressure. And I remember being at the doctor's office because my mom would just send me because I was the second parent sometimes.
Was there ever resentment towards grandma for that?
As a kid, yeah, because I'd be mad. I remember in Minneapolis walking and saying, "This is not my kids," because people thought that Shauna Chanel were my kids sometimes. They were like, we know they're your kids, and because I remember like getting on the bus with them in their stroller and going to St. Paul with my friends they opened this new Target, this new super Target in St. Paul, so we took the bus, and I remember doing that stuff or walking around thinking, these are not my kids. I don't want these kids. But yeah, it made me, I don't know.
I know you love grandma, so like, I'm not Was there a piece of you at that time where it was like, where you would ask yourself or like wonder why grandma even had them if you were caretaker for them?
I don't think I ever thought that. I mean, she like mama. Let me rephrase it. She did take care of her kids to the best of her ability. I never thought that. Like, why did she have them? I would just be mad because I'd be babysitting all the time. Mama would even volunteer me to babysit other people's kids. She's like, "Oh, Tina can do it."
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't, and I didn't mean it from like a malicious point, but I'm saying like back when you were a kid, and it's just like, dang, I always got to watch them. Dang, like people think I'm their parents. Like, why am I always watching them? And I think even for myself as a dad, and you know, just still, I feel like I'm still learning things of like what it means to be a parent, especially as my kids get older and all of that. But as a kid, like you don't understand any of that, and you only have your scope of life, which is very limited as a kid. But you were placed into this position of hyper independence and also being a caretaker. And so it's like, but you don't even really understand what it means fully to be a caretaker. Or what, and so it's just like, I'm taking care of them. I don't even got a kid. Like, I guess I'm just thinking from what I would be thinking. Like, why am I watching them all the time? Like, why, like, what's going on here?
I don't think I thought like, why did you have them? I know I didn't think that. That was never a thought. But I'd be mad because I'd be like, these are not my kids. Like, why do I have these kids? But that I did think. But I wasn't like, I never thought like, why did she have these kids? She shouldn't have these kids. No, I didn't think that. But I 100% thought these are not my kids, and I would be mad. I wouldn't say it to my mom. I think I've only like talked back to my mom once in my life, and I remember that because I think I said as I was walking the same apartment, I jumped out the window. I was walking upstairs and I said, "I hate you and I wish you were dead." And then I went upstairs. In my mind, I was like, "But what if she does die? Then who's gonna take care of me?" And I had this whole conversation with myself, and I came down and apologized. And she was like, "What do you apologize?" And I was like, "I'm sorry. I don't wish you were dead." But so that's the only time I remember that. I'm sure I might have. I know I probably would have been angry, but I don't remember that part. So
Facts. How were you able to like navigate this thing that you call chaos? Navigate all this chaos that you were kind of in, and still be able to like persevere. Like you graduated and you were like, I'm going to college, and you went to college and you did all of that. Like, how were you able to do that?
I decided when I was 10 I was going to go to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer. And I remember having this conversation with my Aunt Big Darlene because I used to always debate and talk back. I call it debating. She called it talking back to her. And she was like, you need to go be a lawyer. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And so from the age of 10, I decided that was what I wanted to do. And so I stayed out of mess because I equated everything to jail. My cousins would want to drink and do all that stuff. I was like, I'm not doing that. And so as much as I was hyper independent, I was also, you couldn't make me do anything that I didn't want to do as a kid. And so like if they wanted to, I'm not doing that. And I would leave that situation because I'm not doing that. I remember my cousin, my big cousin, little darling, tried to make me, she took me to, there used to be a Kmart where Baker's is on 72nd. Mm-hmm. There used to be a Kmart in
Kmart drive-in theater.
But yeah, the drive-in theater left not too long ago, but long ago. Mm-hmm. But there used to be a Kmart right there. And we were in the Kmart and she tried to make me put this coat on. And I was at Kmart in the store arguing. I was like, I'm not putting that coat on. And she was like telling me, and I may have been 11 or 12, you need to put this coat on. I was like, I'm not putting that coat on. And I didn't put a coat on. And she argued with me. I said, but I was like, I'm not because she tried to get me to take the coat. Yeah. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I didn't. But that is one thing I've always been. Like I'm not a follower. I won't do things because everybody did it. And I'm not just going to go like my cousins, like where I remember outside smoking weed, and they tried to get me to do it. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I would just leave, and I would not do it because I'm not getting in trouble and I'm not going to jail, and I was a scaredy cat. And so I was like, I'm just not doing that. And I would just go, because I'm independent, I would just go by myself. I would play by myself or go play with my aunt or play by myself, and I would just be fine. And so that is how I navigated that, because I was okay not hanging. Let me rephrase that. I think I was okay not hanging around people. I was okay not hanging around people if they were doing stuff that I thought was illegal or it was going to get me in trouble.
Yeah. This video right here is your sign going into 2026 that it's time for you to book your therapy appointment. We're not pushing it off no more. We're not acting like everything is good. We're ready for real change, real improvement, and real abundance to come into our lives. And the first step is making sure you take care of this thing right here. And how you gonna do that? You're gonna click the link that's either down here or up here. You're gonna fill out the form, okay? You're gonna wait for us to give you a call, which it should happen in 24 to 48 hours. And you're gonna lock in with a therapist and start to gain that mental and emotional clarity that you've been looking for, so that every last blessing that you done prayed on and every last goal that you're hoping to start in 2026, it actually comes to fruition. Now, listen, this is not no guarantee that we are going to make everything happen for you, but what I can tell you is that if you got this, the likelihood of you achieving the things that you're telling yourself and all your homies and all your homegirls right now that you want to achieve, the likelihood, it just went up drastically. So let's take this step. Let's book our appointment. Let's get it locked in, and let's start 2026 strong at Bear Company Counseling. Let's get right, and I'll see you on the other side. So you had like this internal, in therapy we call it internal locus of control. Like you self-motivated, like there really wasn't any external like guides or like, yeah, you got this, keep going. For you, you were just like, I don't want that. I want this. I ain't trying to go to jail. I'm gonna just stay on this line right here because I know it's gonna keep me out of jail and it's gonna get me here, and I'm gonna figure out the rest because I've always had to figure out.
Yes. I remember, and I also didn't want to live in the projects. There's nothing wrong with living in the projects. They don't have any. I think they have some in South Omaha now.
They're tearing them down though.
I didn't want to live in it because I remember living in the projects where on 20 or what is 30th? I think it's 24th, 30th. There was a projects right there where the stage 2 used to be, and where I think it's Conestoga or Harvard Kennedy is.
No, you're talking about Druid Hill.
No, it was Harvard Kennedy. There was projects right there.
You're talking about Hilltop then?
No, Hilltop was
Hilltop is Salem. Is Salem.
There used to be, I forgot what they called them. Yeah. There used to be projects right there. And I remember we lived like right on the one that was like right from 30th. And you turn on the lights and roaches would scatter. And I grew up, and I used to love sugar snaps. I don't eat sugar snaps because it reminds me of, you didn't know if it was a roach or if it was the cereal. But they were good. It was a good cereal, but I can't eat them because it just reminds me of roaches. And so I just said that I didn't want to live that life. And so that was one of my driving factors, because I did not want to live in the projects. And there's, again, nothing wrong with it, because I grew up in every project in Omaha except for South, and I grew up in the projects in Minneapolis. So I grew up there. I just didn't want to live there because I didn't want to live with roaches. That was one of my motivating factors. I did not want the roaches. So
I feel that. So you were able to make it through. You were able to make it through all of these different things, and then now you got kids of your own. I'm curious for you, when it came to raising us, how do you think your childhood, your upbringing impacted the way that you raised us, the things that you either exposed us to or tried to keep us away from, all of that?
In my effort, and again, I learned this through therapy, in my effort to keep you out of chaos, and to my knowledge, my mind said chaos was the moving and different men and coming in and out of your life. And it wasn't, let me rephrase that, because Mama didn't have a whole bunch of men coming in and out of our life. So I don't want to even give that. She did not have that. It was just really Jerry and Bill, like having that chaos around it. In my mind, living in a stable house and living, like, it wasn't even just being married, but living with one person was giving you stability. But I created chaos for you because I stayed in a situation that I shouldn't have stayed in too long. And like, your dad wasn't violent to me. He was just not a good husband, and we were not meant to be together, and that's okay. We were not. It was not a good marriage, and that's okay. I don't hate him. We're really cool now, but it's just not. And I created chaos for y'all, in particular you, unintentionally. But I did give you chaos. I should have left that relationship sooner rather than later, because that would have probably helped prevent some of the chaos you had to deal with, had I. But in hindsight, I can't go change it. But that's it.
I was gonna say hindsight always has the answers, right? Like, it's always easy to say, man, if I would have. And so I don't think you beat yourself up there, but I think one of the things that you mentioned is just this, from seeing the concept of what it was like being in this split household to now embodying, right? Like, I don't want my kids to grow up in this place where they're not with their dad. It was an internalized belief,
Yeah.
right? That kept you in this position. For you, how did that mentally affect you as you were living it out?
Oh man, that was like, living with your dad was hard because it was like a breakdown, and it was more of like, I don't know, because again, your dad wasn't violent. It was just not. It was not a, and I don't even know how to explain it. It was not a good relationship because your dad was just not a good husband. He was not a good husband and should not have been married. He should have, like, he was a single man married, and he was a single man married, and that's what it was. And it was not a good environment. And like, because of that, he held a lot of anger and like displayed that anger to you and me. And I know, like, when I think about it, I think his anger toward you was more of because he felt like I loved and wanted to protect you. And I don't think he felt that way all the time from his mom. And so, because he would be like, "You're precious, Payton," and all that kind of stuff. Because he was really, so it was more anger toward you, I think, was because of what he grew up with. And what he not grew up with, he felt. Because I don't know if he necessarily grew up with that, but he felt that way. So that anger was then pushed out on you because he was anger because he felt like you had, like, I loved you, and he didn't feel that from his mom. Not that she did not, because I do believe that Grandma Linda, she did, but I don't know if he always felt it.
Tell me what you think about this. I think you guys were two sides of the same coin. And what I mean by that is you both were individuals who were trauma-ridden, that were both in a relationship to try to fill some voids of their trauma. I think for you, you wanted stability, you wanted control, you wanted this dynamic that you were never able to give, you were never able to get growing up for yourself. And so you wanted to create this thing where, like, you were able to control, like, I got control over this now. I can control the family dynamic. I can make sure this is here, like, all of this stuff. And then for my dad, same for him. It's like he wanted this thing that he never had either, except from the man's point of view is, like, he never received, like, this love, so he never knew how to receive it or really how to give it. How would you respond to that?
I'd say yes, and no. Because of the way, like, I didn't know your dad. when I got pregnant with you. I didn't know him. I just got pregnant. And so it was like a forced
It was
kind
just
of
some
thing.
floozy. No, I'm just playing.
No,
I'm
we
playing.
weren't.
I'm playing. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
But
I'm
it
sorry.
wasn't like
I'm
we
sorry.
were. It wasn't like we were like had been dating for a long. I don't even know if we were dating, but
Yeah.
I just got pregnant, and so I think he just. It was more of I got to do the like. I guess I have a baby, and I guess we'll just do this. Mine, I know for 100%, it was I need to control my environment, and I want to control like my environment. My 100%. I want to control the chaos. Again, your dad just was trying to do the right thing, but didn't really want to be there, and had some doubts in his mind because of how quickly all this stuff happened, and so that anger pushed out, which is precipitated him making you do a blood test at 18.
Hey, well, we went through some things, We went through some things. I made some claims too. Me and my dad made some claims too. He made some claims. We all made some
We
claims.
made claims,
You know what I'm
but
saying? It was all out of anger, and it's all. I think I say this a lot in my episodes. Like it's all love now. Like me and my dad have really been able to talk and reconcile. He was even on one of the episodes, pretty early on into the show, and so I think just for if you're watching this right now, as we're speaking about this, like there is no hatred, no anger, no love lost. Like it really is all love to my dad. But like this is the story. This is a part of it. I remember being a kid and not really understanding the dynamic of my dad. Right, like when I was young, I was always a mama's boy, and like I was attached to your hip. You'd be taking a shit, and I would be right outside the door.
I'd have 3 fingers and a dog.
I'd be right
All
there.
of them, I'd get up.
Yeah.
They'd all stand up.
I'd be right there, like under your hip, and I remember thinking like, man, my dad always works. He always works. He works overnight all the time. He's always gone. Like, and so like I thought it was just like this normal thing. Like he's just always working. Like he's doing what he got to do. He's working. So I'm just always with mom. But then later on in conversations, like with my dad, when I got older, like I realized like he wasn't just working. Like he would be out. Like he would work sometimes, but he'd be out here. And like when we talk about you trying to control the environment and you trying to control the chaos, like I think it really gives insight into the trauma responses that you have, and maybe even like some of the attachment styles that you have, right? Like, because amongst all this stuff that I assume you knew was going on at some point in time or another, like you still stayed there inside of the chaos that you wanted to control. And so I guess my question for you is why? And I'm gonna push a little bit. I don't want your why to be for my kids. I think that's the like most people's answer. But I also believe like that's like a blanket, right? There's layers under that. Like for my kids, yeah, I want this for my kids. But I want you to be selfish with this answer a little bit. Why did you stay?
It was more because I think it was normal to me. And that's why, because that's what I grew up seeing. And in most of my, even the adults around me, that was normal. It was a normal chaos. The thing is, I knew, and I would find out, I would even go and confront him there at like a girl's house. But I would still, because it was normal, I would be angry. And I think part of it is because of that, not ability, but that I put it in a box. I'd be angry at that moment, and then I would move past it until I didn't. And I remember not moving past it. I remember it's called, in my mind, I see it as a brick wall moment. And I remember it was almost like a brick wall. And it'll be like, oh. And it was like, oh, I'm good. And I remember when it happened. I remember the moment, and I don't mean anything back for Mr. Hogan, because we are 100% in a 100% good place. We have driven to Dallas together. We have gone to...
They friends. Y'all friends.
We are friends. We have gone to Europe together, not alone, but with Taylor. We have gone to Europe together. We have driven to Dallas together to go to, I think, Tyler's graduation. We are 100. We would go to Wayne to go to your games together. We are 100% good. He actually helped me make a big decision like a few days ago, like where it like not a few like a couple weeks ago, where he helped me feel okay with what I was doing, and it wasn't even like talking to him; it was through a text, and so I 100% will say we are good. But I had that brick wall moment, and I remember, again, I don't want to put it, so I don't know if you
just
can
say
put all
it,
this
go.
on. I remember this guy called me who worked with my cousin Chantella at the, I think the detention center, and she had given him my number because he told her, and he said that he called me and said, your husband's meeting with my wife. They met at Benson Park. They're doing all this stuff, and they're all doing that stuff. And I said, that was my brick wall moment. I said, okay. I got up. I went and gave him the phone so he could finish talking to the guy. I went and got back in the bed and laid down because I had to get up to go pick up Tara from work. And I remember him like cursing the man out and doing all that. And then coming in, no, this didn't happen. I was like, it's good. I was like, it's all good. I was like, I'm good. And he was like, no, let me explain. I was like, I'm good. And I went back to sleep. And then I got up and got Tara. And I came back and he was trying to, I was like, no, we're good. I'm good. And it was like, I'm good. The next weekend or so, I packed all of his stuff out of our bedroom and put it in where my office room is.
In the office.
And then he moved it back and I packed it back up and moved it out of there. I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, I'm good. And that was literally my brick out because it was and then I saw something else. I saw in like his Facebook thing, a relative. And then he was like talking to like one of my sisters in Montana friend. And then there was I was like, and it told me like, one, there are no boundaries. He is never going to stop. And and he's always going to do this. And so it was like literally my brick wall. And it was like, I'm good. And from that point, I've been good. I was like, oh, you're good. I'm good. I'm not mad. I'm good. And so I was good. And that was my brick. I was like, I'm done. And so I was done.
Can I get messy a little bit?
Uh-huh.
All right. So I know you had your brick wall moment, which, I'm glad you came to So
that's my moment.
But before those moments, or before that moment, it was some crash outs. You mentioned like you would confront the I don't even want to call them ladies.
I wouldn't even confront her. It was more of I would know where he was at and I'd go knock on their door.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to just get messy a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about like the situation?
Messy.
I know.
I don't want this to be on like I don't want to make your dad look bad. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No names. You don't got to say no names or none of that. But just a recollection of a situation.
We were going to like one of your tournaments. I think in Wichita.
Basketball.
It was either Wichita or Rochester. Yes.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, I gotta go do something," and my mind, I was like, "This he ain't doing that," and so I said, "Okay," and I left. And when I gave him a few minutes, I left, and I knew where the house was, and I went, knocked on the door, and I said, "Hey, can you tell Preston Hogan to come out?" And he came out, and I had this argument, and that was really what that one was. That's all that was, really. And then there was another time, but that's it. My friends always make fun of me because they were like, I go by myself, which is not safe, but the independence of me doesn't think. It's like an out of body kind of thing. I'm like, I don't need anybody. I have a bunch of sisters. Had I called one of my sisters, they probably would have come with me, especially at that time, because my sisters would have come. My brothers probably, well, Cannon might have, but the other brothers probably wouldn't have, because Jerry and Darvell aren't like fighters. But yeah, and Sean. But yeah,
A couple of things. Just the progression of life and how it works, and as people start to learn and actually realize like the patterns and the traits. I will say from my dad, like a lot of the stuff that he was doing in that relationship, I think he's really been able to be accountable with himself for, and really learn more about himself. But diverting from that a little bit, I do think the comment that you made, I grew up in chaos, so that's just what I was used to. Like you were used to this type of environment, and there's so many people out there who are used to these types of environments and these type of situations, and will accept these certain things, but want more for themselves. And you talk about this aha moment, but I believe the aha moment is more than just like right there in your face. Like there's this process, this mental process that a person has to be going on in order to even accept a moment as aha. Another word or another phrase that is used for aha is rock bottom. Right? Like, this is my bottom. It can't get any lower than this. Because when we identify the bottom, it's like the only way out is up. I can't dig anymore. This is ground zero. And so I'm curious for you, like what led to you finally identifying that moment in the relationship that you guys had as ground zero?
I think when I realized it was never going to stop and there were no boundaries. Like when I saw my cousin, there were no boundaries. Like there was no one that was off limits. And I was like, there's no one that's off limits. Everybody is fair game. And mind you, it wouldn't have been any of my sisters, because I know my sisters. It would not have been any of them. And the cousin is not necessarily a surprise. But it is a surprise. But there were no, when I saw that, I was like, no one is off limits. It's never going to change. No matter what, there was never going to be a change. And there was no one that was off limits. Everybody was fair game. Mm-hmm. And it was like, that was the bottom. It was like everybody is a fair game. Again, I knew it would not be a sister, at least none of my sisters, because my sisters would have cursed him out, and they 100% have told me. My sisters would have. I found out later one of my sorority sisters knew and didn't tell me, but my sisters would have 100%.
Mm-hmm. There's always two sides to the story. And so when you're looking at it from your perspective, because you really can only give your perspective, if you were to step outside of your shoes and place yourself into my dad's shoes, from his perspectives, what was your role in this dynamic that was there?
My role would probably, if I would put it myself, I didn't force your dad, but I think it was a forced relationship. It was not where he would have gone. It was just, we had a kid. And so his perspective, it was like not where he wanted to be. And it I should have allowed that to be okay. And also because of how I grew up, I am more of everything is going to be internal. And your dad needed someone who was going to be like more, probably more outgoing and more expressive and more like touchy-feely and all that kind of stuff. And that was not going to be me. And so we did not match up. Mm. And it's not, again, because not all of it, there are always two. So it's not all his fault, because he didn't force me to do anything. He didn't force me to stay in a relationship. He didn't force me to do anything. Tina, allowed it. I don't own what he did.
Absolutely not.
He owns what he did. But I did not have to stay in anything at any point in time for 15 years at all. So, but it was more of we were not compatible. We liked goofy movies. That's really all. We don't listen to the same music. We don't have the same fans. I'm not I would go out, but I would go out to a club that my sisters worked at, and I would go out when I was younger. I would go out all the time, but I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't do any of that stuff. I would just go out, dance, and go about my business. But we didn't have similar personalities. We did not match up. So if you were looking for someone, it wouldn't have been me and him because we don't match. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't give him what he needed because we weren't compatible.
Talk about how therapy helped you to come to like some of these realizations for yourself.
I had a weird look at my therapist was this white guy with a long beard. He was an odd looking man.
Look like Merlin?
Huh?
Merlin, the magician?
Yes, he did. But like he had these things all on the wall, and like he would just like his first therapy session, he would let you talk about all this stuff. But he had these things on the wall, and it was like, which illustrates what his therapy how he I can't even say the word. What his therapy
like his ideology
was. Because he had this thing, do you need to see the roots of the tree to know that it has roots? And basically from that, like you can go and rehash a story over and over and spend every therapy session talking about the story. We know the story happened. But what are we going to do to get, you can see that, like you have trauma. We can see that you have trauma. I'll let you talk about your story, but we will not spend I'll give you a few sessions to talk about your story. But what are we going to do? Like, and so that is like what helped me. Like, did all this happen? 100%. But are you going to stay there? And that's like, it wasn't just him because that's how I grew up. Also, like that happened. Okay. What I need to do? Like, what do I do next? Mm-hmm. And so that is where his therapy like helped me look at it. And it also helped me in the sense because I brought your dad to one of the therapy sessions. And he like get left angry and even like was mad at the man. And then he was like, I will never tell anybody to leave that way, their husbands or anything. But he was like, I'm going to tell you this. He will never change. And you have to, if you're going to stay, you have to accept that. And that was like, I know that. And I had to either make my own decisions. Was I going to do that? Again, not all your dad's fault. I own Tina's stuff.
Mm-hmm. What would you say some of the things, since you've been in therapy, some of the things that you've realized about yourself that even to this day, after being, what is it? What are y'all, like it's over 10 years separated now or divorced and not together. Like, what are some of the things that you're still having to, you're still kind of having to acknowledge within yourself as you live day to day or still process through yourself day to day with your own experience?
I want to fix everything. Like, it happened. So what are you going to do? And I want to fix everything, like everybody's problem. But the problem with that is then it becomes mine. Mm-hmm. But I want to fix everything. When I see an issue, I want to fix it. And I want everybody to be happy. Because then if you're happy, there's not chaos. And I'm not 100% there. No shape and form. But I don't do it for everyone now. Before it would be everyone. If anyone had a problem, I'm fixing it. Mm-hmm. And even at my own detriment, mm-hmm. I'm fixing it. And so I still have that. I'm better, not 100%, but I still have that. But that's one of the things.
Are you comfortable with talking about how that has affected you when it comes to your health?
I think my internal, because I internalize everything, I've had some little strokes. And so I've had a couple. And I have all this other stuff going on where I take, 7, 8 pills a day. I mean, no, in the morning, 7, 8 pills at night, because I have all this stuff going on. And I see all these specialists. Just saw a neurologist last week. And I see a cardiologist in another 2 weeks. So, because they're going to put this little heart monitor in me. But it has, in fact, because I internalize everything. So everything is internal. I have this whole internal monologue. I have conversations with myself. I respond, but I internalize it because that's how I calm myself down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Looking back, if you could go back and talk to the young you that was raised in this chaos, and you could tell young you like 2 things, and you got all the knowledge that you got now, like you lived the life experience, you did everything, you're here right now, but you're able to go back and say something, what would you say to young you?
Be a kid. And I was, but I wasn't. But be a kid, and you don't have to fix everything. And you can also tell your mom that you don't have to fix everything. But say it in a respectful way.
I was about to say, I don't know how what? I don't know how you about to say that, but I feel that, man, so many people are raised in chaos. And the chaos, like what chaos looks like, varies from person to person. Your chaos look completely different from my chaos, and my chaos looks completely different from your chaos and your chaos. Like all of our chaos looks different in this. I think we're all just on these journeys of learning how to navigate it. But I think the piece that trips so many people up, and I'm curious to what your thoughts are on this, the piece that trips so many people up is they never acknowledge the chaos to be chaos, and it is just normal. And when we see something as normal, if it's not broke, why fix it? You know, it's normal. Nothing needs to change. This is regular life, right? Like it's not until we see something as chaotic or we see something as abnormal that we start to question and we start to try to figure out how can I actually make this different? You get what I'm saying? From your perspective, how do you think that people or individuals who are in this chaotic loop but can't even see the chaos there because it is normal, how do they come to that realization? Or how are they able to like become awakened to what's actually in front of them?
I think you have to be open to acknowledge it. And that's like an individual thing. I think that is the thing, because unless you are open to acknowledge it and then open to do something, it's normal. You're going to just goes back to you. Do you need to see the roots of the tree? Just know it. You're going to just keep hashing over all of this is awful, and this awful thing is happening, and it's happening, and it's this is and be angry and then just talk about it every day. But unless you are willing to say, yeah, I'm in it, and I it's my fault too. I'm doing this. If I want to change it, then I need to change something. Like this is like or this is chaos, and I'm creating this chaos for my kids or all these other people. And unless I'm going to change it, it's going to continue. And the thing is, if that's what you want to do, then acknowledge that's what you want to do. I know it's chaos, but I'm going to stay in it. But then acknowledge that and be in the chaos. But stop talking about it. And I don't mean because talking about it and you're still going to do it is creating more chaos. Mm-hmm. It's just giving your chaos to other people. Because you're going to just complain to them that all of this is happening. And you're just going to unload your chaos and say, I have this chaos and I just want somebody to hold it for me. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're doing? And so hold it, and I need you to hold my chaos. I'm going to stay in it, but here's my chaos. Mm-hmm. Hold it, and I'll come back to you tomorrow and give it more of it.
That's the hard part, though. It's like if when I turn to the left and I turn to the right, I see nothing but mirrors of what my chaos is, right? Like my friends are in this chaos. My family is in the same chaos. My kids' friends are in the same. We're all in this chaos. Like it's hard. Like how do I even identify it as chaos? You know, one thing that comes to mind for me is just exposure. Something that I'm very grateful that you did for us from a young age is you exposed us to things outside of our environment. Took us on trips. Like I remember me, you, Taylor, and like we took us places. You know, we seen outside of Omaha. Like we got out, and it wasn't like it was just like an all the time thing. But it was like even if we just drove down to Kansas City, you know, every 4 years you would take us to Florida. It's like you gave us this exposure. Like the conversations you would have with me, like were beyond like. So like I always knew there was something different. And I think that's one of the key pieces. Like if I don't know there's anything different, if I don't ever see that there's something outside of this, like there's no way that I can identify this as chaos. It really like this is just this is what everybody experiences. Like why would anybody experience anything else different? Would you agree with that or would you disagree?
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Like, because I think if you, like, I 100% agree with that. Because if you don't see anything different, it will always be the same. And everything is normal. Like, and I intentionally did that because I didn't want y'all to think that this was all there was. Like, even, like, when we moved out west, even no matter what, I made sure, like, I didn't want you to, like, be in one environment, like, where you were, because you in particular, Taylor, were always the only white kids in your program because you were always in honors classes.
I didn't know I was a white kid.
I mean, the black kid, sorry. You would be the only black kid in most of, like, your classes because you were always in honors stuff. And so, but I intentionally sent y'all to Buttercups. I didn't have to. That was down the street. That was 20 minutes away. I intentionally, y'all both went to McMillan, and we lived out on 108th. I intentionally, like, tried to expose you to, like, not just one environment. I intentionally took y'all, like, to the circus in Kansas City because I wanted y'all to see that there was something that was outside of this environment and that you didn't, like, I intentionally, I read to y'all. I made sure that you had, like, there used to be a store that had educational stuff right on 103rd or 99th.
Children's Play Square, whatever it
Yeah,
was called.
and I would go get those. Like in the summer, I would get those enrichment kind of things because I wanted you to know. I wanted to make sure that y'all were exposed to stuff, and wanted to make sure that y'all, like, knew that there was the world beyond this. And so I stopped making y'all take honors classes. But even when I stopped, because after your freshman year at Central, I was like, I'm not gonna make you. You still did, because you got bored in the other classes, even, like, because it was boring. And so it's still, I didn't force you. You did it because you would be upset when they didn't know the answers in those classes. Like Taylor, I didn't force her to take any. She didn't take honors math, even though her teachers tried to make her, because she didn't want all the homework, but not with all the other honors classes. And so that's the only reason why she didn't take honors, because she didn't want the homework, but she's an economics major. So, but she would be in the class talking about, I can't with these people. Mm-hmm. But it was more of because I wanted you to see that the world was bigger than Omaha. Mm-hmm. Even though we lived here, there was more outside of Omaha. And that if you don't see that, you're right. You don't know that there's anything different. And I can see that with a lot of my relatives because they live in that environment and that's what they think is normal. And they continue their kids grow up. Like my brother grew up in gangs. And so Uncle Kenneth's kids, none of them are in gangs. But Sean's kids, because that's what Sean kept exposing them to. And so that is normal for them. And so his son is living his life unintentionally, but he is. Mm-hmm. Because that's what he exposed them to. But you're right. So I do believe that. I do believe that but I joined a sorority. I have friends. Like all of my friends, are college educated women. Everyone I know, all of my friends, are master's level, and but those are the people I hang around with, and so I knew that there was something beyond this moment, and so that's it.
Couple more questions because we're getting close to time. What would you say? What's like one of your biggest regrets with me when it came to raising me? Because I was a headache and a half for you, even though like you tried to, growing up, you tried to like expose and shield me from certain things, and I was just like, fuck it all. Like I just trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out. What would you say one of your biggest regrets with me is?
I probably would have not let you go over my brother's house that one time, because I didn't let you spend the night or stay with him for a reason, because I knew that he would do. I suspected he would do what he did. I also would have probably not stayed in the relationship with your dad, because I think like that, like if you would have had a separate relationship, your relationship would have been different. That, and if we would just gotten a blood test when you were a baby, he wouldn't have grown up with the anger. But I think we shouldn't have lived together, and you would have had a different relationship with him not living with him. So I would have left, because I wanted Taylor, and I'm glad that I have Taylor. But I would have left when she was born, and not continued that relationship, because I think that you would have grown up differently, because you wouldn't have grown up with this anger, and y'all would have had a different relationship. You're fine now, but I think that would have impacted both, like not just, and I would say that not just for you, it would have impacted me differently, and Taylor differently, and everybody, and we would have had different lives.
Mm-hmm. Last question. To the person who is realizing they grew up in chaos, or they might be in chaos right now, and they're unsure of how to navigate it, how to get through it, what to do with it, what's a piece of advice or knowledge or wisdom that you would give to them in order to endure this season of chaos in their life?
I would say go get therapy, one, because unless you like get to the root cause of why you're in the chaos, you're going to continue it. So unless you like go and figure out like why am I in this chaos, and why is this so normal for me, unless you go in and figure that out, you are going to repeat it. So go figure that out. That's the advice I would get.
All right. I love you, Mom.
Love you too.
Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you being vulnerable. Appreciate you being transparent. I know this episode is going to impact people in a big way.
Tell Preston Hogan I am not angry. Tell my mama I am not angry. Tell Jerry Howley I'm not angry. I love all of them, so we're all good.
Facts.
So
you're just telling your story.
I'm just telling stories, and it's okay.
Yeah. We're going to try something different here. We're going to try something different here at the end. Because I do appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. But it's not the CYR podcast. It's the Clean Your Room show. I know I introduced it a little different, but I've been thinking about this, and I really believe this is a show, because this show summarizes the stories of many people who come on. So I'm going to end it like this. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Clean Your Room show, because when you clean your room, you change your life, create your resilience, and you just might be able to change your reality. We out. All right.
Cried a little bit.
You did. You made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have a story, though, that you're wanting to get out there, and you feel like your life and your testimony could have an impact and really change the lives of hundreds, thousands, millions of people just by them hearing it, I want to give the opportunity to you to be able to be on the show. Down in the description, I'm going to leave a link for a questionnaire for you to fill out in order to get on here and be able to share your story. All you got to do, click it, fill it out. If you just put a couple of words on there, it's going to be hard for me to really see if that story is worth putting on here. So really go into detail when you answer these questions. But this is the opportunity for you to be able to come on the show and showcase your testimony, because I believe testimonies are powerful. I had somebody in here just the other day and they were like, I realized once I was able to own my story, it no longer belonged to me. It belonged to the people who were meant to hear it so that they can be helped from it. And so if that's you and your testimony and your story is meant to help somebody, fill out the link down in the description and let's get you on the show. Thanks for tuning in.